2010 was a year that saw much of Australia receive above average rainfall. Central Australia was no exception, with record falls causing rivers and lakes to fill for the first time in years. This video is of our trip to Menindee Lakes, Cameron Corner and the Flinders Ranges. We would start our journey in Horsham and travel north towards Rainbow. Our first camp would be at the Lake Albocatcha Regional Park. Lake Albocatcha spans 5,850 hectares and generally fills and empties on a 20-year cycle, with the longest dry period on record being 27 years. The lake last filled in 1974 and held water for 9 years. Continuing our trek north, we would make a stopover at Pink Lakes in the Sunset National Park. These lakes get their name from the pink colour observed during late summer. This colour is created when algae on the lake's surface secretes a red pigment called carotene, causing the surface of the lake to appear pink in colour. Travelling the tracks of the Sunset National Park was slow at times, but eventually we made our way to Mildura and then further north to the Menindee Lakes area, where we set up camp next to the Darling River. The Darling was experiencing its first significant flow in many years. As a result, the Menindee Lakes system was filling, with Lake Palmer-Maru at capacity and Lake Menindee nearing full capacity. The total water stored by the lakes is equivalent to 3.5 times the volume of Sydney Harbour. This water is used for conservation, irrigation, watering stock and for the main domestic supply to Broken Hill. From Menindee we continued our journey north. We made a brief stop in Broken Hill to restock our supplies, and then it was on to the Silver City Highway that would eventually take us to Tibooburra and the region known as the Corner Country. Midway between Broken Hill and Tibooburra is Packsaddle. The roadhouse was a welcome sight where we stopped briefly for an ice cream. Beside the Silver City Highway on the sandy banks of the Cobham Lake lies the grave of Eliza Kennedy. Some locals say Eliza was a prostitute that worked at Granny Blaw's Tavern, located on the edge of the nearby lake, and that she drowned while trying to save the tavern keeper's 2 daughters who had got into difficulties while swimming in the lake. Milparinka is one of only 2 towns remaining in the Corner Country. The town came into existence during the gold rush of the 1870s. Gold was never found at Milparinka, but it did have a much needed water supply, and it became a crucial support centre to the many goldfields in the Corner Country. A handful of buildings from the Gold Rush era have been meticulously restored by volunteers and are now key tourist attractions for the small town. Eventually we would arrive at Tibooburra. Tibooburra is home to the Sturt National Park. We set up camp at the Dead Horse Gully campground just a few kilometres out of town. The campground is set among the granite boulders that surround Tibooburra. would now turn west and make our way towards Cameron Corner. Cameron Corner is where the New South Wales, Queensland and South Australian borders meet, and was named after the surveyor John Brewer Cameron, who in 1880 to 1882 marked the border between New South Wales and Queensland. Cameron Corner is also where you'll see the dingo fence. This fence is the longest structure in the world, stretching over 5,000 kilometres from Nambour in the east to the Indian Ocean in the west. The corner is a popular destination with several thousand people visiting the single corner store each year. The store offers a warm, inviting atmosphere where you will be able to enjoy a beer and a chat with other travellers. The corner also offers modest accommodation, as well as a basic camp kitchen for those who choose to camp. From Cameron Corner we would continue west across a sea of sand dunes that would take us past the famous yellow bus. One wonders how such a thing could end up here. Eventually we would meet up with the Strzelecki track, where we would turn south and make our way towards the Flinders Ranges. Before entering the Flinders Range National Park, we would camp a couple of nights in the Gammon National Park. Here we visited Aruna and explored the hills that surround the Aruna village. The drive into the Flinders Range National Park was breathtaking. Recent rains had turned the ancient mountain landscape into an oasis of green. We would set up camp at the secluded Burkina campground that overlooks the Aruna Creek. It was indeed a peaceful location. In 1847, Johnson Frederick Haywood arrived in Australia with just £40. 4 years later he took up a sheep run here at Aruna, which he operated for 11 years. After selling up, he returned to England with a reported £75,000. The Aruna Hut is the only structure remaining at the homestead location. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and maybe that it will inspire you to pack your travel bags and start exploring the great Australian outback.